Royals in shock. Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor shares joyful news before state banquet. The chandeliers glistened. The palace buzzed with anticipation. A royal banquet, elegant, predictable, steeped in centuries of tradition. Everyone expected ceremony. Everyone expected perfection. But no one, absolutely no one expected what Princess Leonor was about to reveal. Because on this night, in a moment meant for protocol and poise, Spain's future queen broke away from the script. Her words sent shockwaves through the banquet hall. And while the royal court gasped, the world leaned in, desperate to understand the meaning behind her joyful announcement. What was said? Why here? Why now? And what does it mean for the monarchy, for Spain, and for the generations watching this young princess transform into a queen before their very eyes? Tonight, we dive into the story the palace tried to control, but could not contain. Princess Leonor. A royal banquet. A moment of truth. Let's begin. From the outside, it was an evening of pure spectacle. The royal palace in Madrid stood illuminated against the night sky, its stone walls echoing centuries of history. Foreign dignitaries had arrived. Diplomats, heads of state, aristocrats from across Europe, all seated at long tables adorned with crystal, silver, and gold. This was not just another state banquet. This was Princess Leonor's first major appearance since turning 19, a milestone that carried enormous weight. She was no longer just the heir. She was a woman stepping into her destiny, carrying Spain's monarchy into the future. The expectation was clear: silence, grace, protocol. And for the first hour, that is exactly what unfolded. The king and queen greeted their guests. Speeches were delivered. Toasts were raised. Tradition reigned supreme. But then, something shifted. As the hall grew quiet, all eyes turned to Leonor. She stood, radiant, poised, dressed in a gown that shimmered beneath the golden light. And then, with a voice steady but charged with emotion, she spoke words that none could have predicted. She spoke of love. She spoke of family. And then, her joyful news. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a political declaration. It was something far more powerful. Something human. Something that reminded the world that beneath the crown, there beats a heart filled with hope and vulnerability. But what exactly was revealed? Was it a personal confession? Was it a step toward marriage? Or was it something tied to her role as heir to the Spanish throne? In that moment, every guest inside the palace froze. Conversations halted. Forks clinked against plates and fell silent. Even the king and queen, seasoned veterans of royal life, seemed momentarily stunned. This was no ordinary statement. This was a pivot in history. To understand the weight of Leonor's words, we must journey back. To her childhood. To the years spent under scrutiny. To the carefully orchestrated image of a girl born not just into privilege, but into responsibility. From the moment of her birth in 2005, Leonor was more than a daughter. She was the symbol of continuity. The bridge to the future. Spain's monarchy had weathered storms, political crises, scandals, debates about its relevance. And through it all, the image of a young princess grew into a beacon of stability. Yet behind palace walls, Leonor's life was anything but ordinary. Tutors, security, protocols, all shaping a childhood unlike any other. And yet, those close to her describe her as grounded. Warm. Intelligent. A girl who laughed with friends, who devoured books, who dreamed of a future not just as queen, but as herself. And here lies the tension. The world demands a symbol. The people demand a leader. But Leonor, she longs to live, to love, to share joy, even when the weight of history presses down. Which brings us back to that night. That banquet. That announcement. Her words were carefully chosen, but her emotion was unmistakable. She was not reading a prepared script. She was speaking from the heart. And in doing so, she forced the monarchy, and the world, to face a truth long hidden, that even a princess can surprise. Even a princess can rewrite the narrative. But what does this mean for the monarchy? Does her joyful revelation signal a new chapter for Spain, a chapter of openness, of honesty, of connection between crown and people? Or will the palace machinery move quickly to contain it, to spin it, to reduce it to protocol once again? The banquet guests whispered among themselves. Some smiled, touched by the sincerity. Others frowned, wary of what her honesty might unleash. And yet, as the night unfolded, one thing became clear: Leonor had crossed a threshold. There would be no going back. The following morning, newspapers across Europe scrambled for headlines. Spanish tabloids splashed her face across their front pages. British media speculated on hidden meanings. Danish outlets, with their own interest in Prince Christian and his ties to Leonor, hinted at royal alliances. And in the United States, networks framed her as a modern royal daring to embrace authenticity. For hours, commentators debated. Analysts dissected every phrase. But amid the noise, one truth cut through: Leonor had captured hearts in a way few royals ever could. Her joyful news was not just a personal revelation. It was a message, a promise, a glimpse into the queen she is becoming, one unafraid to share her humanity with the world. And yet, questions remain. What challenges will this boldness bring? Will traditionalists within Spain's monarchy push back? Will political critics use this moment to question the role of the crown itself? Or will this become the spark that breathes new life into an institution struggling for relevance in the 21st century? Because this is not just Leonor's story. It is Spain's. It is Europe's. It is the world's fascination with royalty, the love, the power, the drama, the humanity behind the crown. And as we move deeper into this year, one thing is certain: the banquet may be over, but the echoes of that night will not fade. The palace may close its doors. The media may move on. But for the people, that moment will endure. The moment a princess stood tall, defied expectation, and shared joy in a way that stunned her family, her nation, and her world. The banquet will be remembered as historic. But Leonor, she will be remembered as more than a guest of honor. She will be remembered as the future queen who dared to be real. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is only the beginning. Because if one announcement can ripple across Europe, what will happen when she takes the throne? The story continues.